You like trash? You like digging around in garbage? Did you recycle today? This anime is called Gachiakuta, and it's about trash. There's a boy named Rudo who lives with his adoptive father, and he has an infatuation with trash. He likes it stinky. He lives on the Spear, an area where people don't really care for their trash. They prefer to just get a new one when something stops working or if it starts to look a little off. This, of course, pisses off Rudo because he believes the value in keeping things low-key hoarding, as he has these gloves he always wears that were given to him by his father. He doesn't really fit in too well with these guys, but tries to make it work, especially when it comes to this one girl. However, since this is an anime and we need the plot to get going somehow, Rudo goes home and... what is this I see? Yep, that sounds about right. His dad's dead. Even worse, he gets framed for the murder of his father. And let me tell you what they do to people in this world. They don't do all that lame hanging or stoning or execution squad, nada. They throw them into abyss with their trash. You know how much you gotta hate somebody and throw them into the garbage disposal? It's crazy work. And Rudo was basically cursing them all out and all that jazz, but that's not even the worst part. The girl that he was interested in, at least you don't even know bro anymore. So before he gets thrown into the pit, he basically hits them with the "I always hated you all," and then wah! He gets tossed into the abyss. We're eventually greeted by this beautiful panel of him falling into this world of trash. And that's basically the beginning of the story of Gachiakuta. I would recommend reading it as it's a very good story, the characters are very well written, the world building is excellent, and it's coming out with an anime later this year. Now, let me get started with the power system in this series, right? The good stuff. The power system was already teased in that beginning, but it's items that value. The items that you keep close to your heart or that you imbue value with them, they can eventually gain powers. What does this mean? Well, let's say that you wore a sock every day or if you kept it near you all the time. Now let's say the sock was the last thing your mom gave you before she passed, or it was a lucky sock that inspired you to challenge the world to become a better person. By keeping this item and taking care of it, you can eventually become a giver. However, it is not guaranteed. We still don't really understand who can become a giver and who can't. There does seem to be some type of genetic relevance or a method for determining it, but it's still up in the air. Now, once you become a giver, you will gain abilities based on the usage of that item. Rudo's gloves allow him to turn items that could be considered trash into weapons for combat. As of now, he appears to have a limit of doing this 3 times, before he's eventually kicked out of creative mode and has to fight like the rest of us. This leads me to my favorite part of Gachiakuta. I love when stories mix the character's backstory into their weapons, and Gachiakuta does this extremely well. There's a moment where one character brings out a weapon that in anime typically doesn't ever do anything, but when she brings it out, it changes the entire dynamic of her character. And I loved it, showing that clearly with her there is so much more going on, and I can't wait to have it revealed. She alone could have her own video, but we'll wait for that. And there's one more character who I personally hated him at first because he had such a main character syndrome and it was so annoying. But I realized that this is such a normal and powerful emotion because the power system is incredibly unfair. You can't train, you can't wish for this, you can't get it, you can't buy it, you either have it or you don't. I would be pissed too if I were him in this world. And how they told this side character's backstory and motivations was absolutely beautiful. I love in stories where characters, mainly like the side characters, or like a side quest has a deeper narrative impact, or something that seems like just a basic like fetch mission, or just basic talking with this random character ends up being this intricate and deep story that ends up being incredibly important to the overall narrative. It's just so incredible. And it makes the world feel so much more alive than the 3 main characters that most of these stories usually will have. But with all that said, what I'm trying to say here is that if you were hesitant, please go take the time to read Gachiakuta. It has beautiful world building and storytelling, and it's an amazing tale. It's a journey that we all can relate to. It's a flawed person around other very flawed people trying to make the best of a trashy situation. Thank you all for watching, and please take care.